Good morning. Week 2, Coffee Chats with Hala. Grab a cup of coffee. Come join me as we reflect on the week. Notice the ways that God has been moving, the things that we're learning, the challenges that we're facing. I'm sharing with you all of these things in the hopes that it will support me in just being better at reflecting on my journey and noticing where God is. And also as an invitation for you to join me in that practice. For the whole month of January, I go live at 6 a.m. in a Facebook group that I have, and we have daily conversations with God. And from my first week, I kind of felt like I should keep doing this. I should do this, at the end of the week too, on the weekends, to just spend some more time in kind of affirming the things that God is doing in my life, the things that He is teaching me, and having the accountability of getting up and recording a video helps me to do that. And I also kind of felt the nudge of let other people witness this, let other people in on this too, so that they can enter in this practice. And what I do professionally is I am a transformational life coach. And so I support people in drawing closer to God and allowing Him to guide their steps, which produces massive transformation in your life. And so as you're listening to this, as you're following along, if there's more support that you're looking for, reach out to me. I'll leave my email and some of the programs that I have. I'll probably share about some of that because I always include some coaching updates as well. But this is what I do. And I try to walk what I do as well. In demonstrating, a lack of perfectionism, even though today it was really hard for me to, I have no makeup on, I'm rolling out of bed here. And I'm feeling that weight of the perfectionism of making this perfect and having the perfect things to say. And God just wants us to come to Him as we are. And so I do my best to demonstrate that for my clients, for listeners, for other people in my life, and I fall short. And so just kind of starting out this morning of recognizing I feel that pressure today to have something powerful and amazing to share. And I'm surrendering that, I'm releasing that to trust that God will move, that God will reveal things for me, that God will transform my heart, renew my mind this morning, so that I can rely more on Him rather than the things that I want to do and the things that I want to control. So grab a cup of coffee, join me today, and let's reflect on the week. Have a coffee chat, you, me, and God. I want to start out with a practice of listening prayer. Again, this is something that I have been doing the past few years. Every day in January, I wake up, I share my heart with God, and I open up a little space to pay attention to what He might be sharing with me in return. What kind of bubbles up as I pose different questions to Him. If you're interested in this practice, you can join us for the last 2 weeks in January. We go Monday through Friday of practicing listening prayer every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. I also have a devotional. If you're like, oh, I can't get up that early, or I don't really want to do this with other people, I have a devotional called Conversations with God. There is a digital copy and a hard copy that I will link as well for you to be able to access if you would like to improve your practice and experimentation of hearing from God. So how I practice this is I do my best to surrender my emotions, share my heart with Him, and then I pause and just say, God, what do you want me to know about how I'm feeling today? What do you want me to know about this? And so we're going to start with that. I take 2 minutes to just share with God how I feel, just kind of write it down. Then after those 2 minutes, I'll share with you as well. I invite you to take the 2 minutes to just kind of tune into your own heart, pay attention to the emotions that you're feeling today, and what's making you feel that way. If you have a journal and something to write with, I recommend writing it down. And then as I share, you can kind of listen, and again, continue in your reflection. And then we'll take 3 minutes to just say, God, what do you want us to know about this? What do you want me to know about how I'm feeling? We'll pause for 3 minutes and then we'll come back and we will share what, if anything, we sensed might be coming up from God. So I'm going to take 2 minutes to pause. If you would like to join me in this 2 minutes, you can just follow right along with this video recording, however you're watching or listening. If you want to skip, go just hear my response, you can do that too. But 2 minutes, setting my timer. You're still about 30 seconds, but I'm feeling content with the ways that I'm checking in. So I'm going to just pause a little early and share with you. If you need to take a little bit longer, you can pause how you're watching or listening, and just continue your reflection. But this morning I am feeling humbled, nervous. I feel like I have something to prove, which makes me feel anxious and irritable. Um, I feel humbled because I do feel like God is like really stripping me of this. Like one of the things that I'm learning is he's really stripping me of this perfectionism and people pleasing that I have that I wish I didn't have. Like it's like that irritates me, that it matters to me, that I want to prove myself and have this kind of need in me for things to be perfect and whatever. And so I feel humbled, like God's like, Hala, relax. Like you don't need to prove anything. And my curiosities are like, you know, who do I think I have something to prove to? Like what is this that I feel like I have something to prove? And so then I feel this anxiousness and this irritability even going into the day. Um, which I don't want to have. And so you'll notice in these videos, I do my best, as I shared earlier, to just be honest, to show up as I am, and I have trust in God that He wants me to come before Him however I feel, that He's glad to be with me no matter what. And so, in demonstrating this for you, I hope that you can learn that about Him as well. And He's trustworthy. He wants to hear your heaviness, your lightheartedness, and be with you in all of it. And so I try to demonstrate that with just being honest with how I'm showing up. And so after sharing honestly, I pause and practice listening prayer. God, what do you want me to know about how I'm feeling today? Or what do you want me to know about this day? What do you want me to know? Lord, what do you want me to know about this? So we're just going to spend 3 minutes of listening to God and paying attention to what, if anything, bubbles up for us. Paying attention to any images that cross our mind, any memories, any scriptures, any song lyrics, um, whatever it might be, just noticing. Some people this past month have had warmth come over them, and then verses or songs that affirm God melting a frozen heart and kind of like His warmth overwhelming them. So pay attention to physical sensations. Um, what are some other things? Lots of song lyrics, lots of images, lots of scriptures. So just pay attention as you're listening to Him. What do you want me to know about this? Just pay attention to what, if anything, bubbles up for you. We'll do that, and then I will share as well. All right. I got a super weird image this morning, and so I paused to do a little more listening. So you guys are gonna have to bear with me. And I always share with people, whenever we practice listening prayer, part of the additional practice is discernment. The final step is we kind of tell a friend or share to practice discernment. We pay attention to, does this produce fruits of the spirit versus fruits of the flesh? And we practice this in community and through the month of January, to support that idea of discernment. And as you tell a friend, kind of posing the question of, I'm sensing this might be from God. Does it sound like him? Is it in line with scripture? Is it in line with the fruits of the spirit? Is this something that feels and sounds like the word of God? And so as I'm sharing, you can kind of pose those curiosities to yourself, as you are reflecting on the things that came up for you. Curious, is this from God? Practicing that discernment. Um, and always paying attention to the things that bubble up versus the things that, like, oh, well, I know this about God, so he's probably saying like that he loves me, or he's probably saying like you're wrong and you should do this, or we kind of assume some things that he would say. And it's often not what he has to share with us. So again, just bear with me. And I always share too, like, you can take it or leave it. Yes, Hala, that sounds like it was from God. Or you know what? I think that was just really bizarro and probably not from him. Um, to me, it feels like when I get images like this, it feels like it has to be from God. And so I spend a little extra time paying attention to and noticing, what do you want me to know about that? Which is what I did. I paused for a couple extra minutes to just be like, what the heck is this? And what do you want me to know about it? So if you're listening and you're like, oh, Hala, this came up for me while I was listening to you share that, I'd be open to hearing as well. If you want to share something, feel free to email me. Um, so again, I checked in as feeling humbled, nervous, like I have something to prove, which makes me feel anxious and irritable. And first thing that came up was like a powerful, like, deep voice in my mind's eye of, I am with you always to the very end of the age. I am with you always to the very end of the age. And then I was brought to a mountaintop. It was a dark day too. So maybe it was like this time of day where it's like early in the morning, really dark, and like overlooking the town, the city, whatever it was below. But it felt like we were in the time of the prophet, so like biblical times. And I'm looking, and there's a prophet sitting cross-legged. At first I was like, oh, is this Moses? Like when he was, sharing the commandments? Is this Jesus when he was being tempted in the wilderness? Like, what is it that, where am I being, what's the image? Um, but the prophet was sitting cross-legged. It felt like Moses to me at first, but he was sitting cross-legged, and he was up like this, and there was just like bolts of lightning, that kind of drawing him, not his body, but like his attention up, and like preventing him from being able to turn from being like this. It didn't look pleasant. So he's being like forced to be kind of like this with like lightning and a big cloud above him. Simultaneously, there was another prophet, is what it felt like to me, that was like dressed like a shepherd, kind of overlooking the city and kind of scanning it with a big whip, like a big leather whip, almost looked like a snake. And so I was curious, like, is that a holy shepherd, or like is that enemy? So that's what made me think, like, are we in the wilderness? So that was like, I gotta time out. I gotta I need more than 3 minutes to figure out what this means. So then I posed the question, God, what is this image? And I also said, do you want me to share it? I was like, is this too weird? Should I not share this publicly? Is this something I'm learning to practice discretion and discernment? And so I'm trying to ask God, like, is this something that others need to hear? Is this something between just you and I? Um, and this is what I wrote down. Yes, it is you and I remembering all you've been through and shocking the bad out of your system. You need to look to me. And the lightning or electricity is to draw your eyes to me up. I command you to see me. What's down below and out there is not of your concern. It is the man on the mountains. And kind of as I was sensing this, like it's kind of like an inner knowing, right? Some things that, like a gut, like, okay, blah, 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 just felt like kind of like I was writing what was coming to me. Um, it does, I do, things that I'm learning about God, I do feel like He is like, Hala, leave all these other things aside and just look to me. Just look to me, just look to me. Um, while also recognizing it's really hard for me. Um, and I didn't realize how hard it was to just draw my attention to God. Kind of moving into our coffee chat time of the things that I'm learning, the things that I've been experiencing this week, the habits that I've been implementing to support me in just looking to God as I sense Him saying, like, this is all I want you to do. Like, so much so that I'm putting these electric bolts around you so that you have to look to me. Um, Man, I feel some of those restrictions on me. But some things that I've been noticing is even so things that consume my thoughts a lot prevent me from being fully present with those around me, specifically in motherhood. And some of the things that distract me are what's on my phone, my email, my social media, text messages, and just like being contacted or reached out to. Because with that people pleasing and perfectionism in me, right now I have some new launches, a new program called Listening Prayer Academy, and I just shared about some sacred rest retreats that I'm hosting this year. And so I'm constantly like, oh my gosh, is someone signing up for it? Oh, is someone reaching out to me, ask a question about it? Are there things that I need to do to start planning for it? Should I be sharing it somewhere else? Is there someone I need to reach out to invite them to join me in this? And so my mind is elsewhere rather than being fully present with the people before me, which right now, those people are my kids. And I can't remember if I shared this. I think it was just at the end of last week, I felt convicted, for lack of a better term, by God to, rather than spending my afternoons doing coaching work of prep and emails and marketing and all these different things, I felt like God, I'm in like a coaching membership to support me in being led by God, basically. It's called the Pace of Grace Community for entrepreneurs, and it's wonderful. And we have 2 calls a month. And the call this month, or this past week, was just about God, what are the plans that you have for me this month? This wasn't the question that was posed, but this is how I pose it. It's what are the plans that you have for me this month? And what do I need to do to join you in that? And I just felt this surprising invitation to, rather than work in the afternoons, I need to put my phone and computer away and be fully present with my oldest daughter, who is 4. And so I've been doing that for the past week, and it's truly felt like a detox to me, which I think says a lot about how like worked up and all the different emotions. I'm sure there's more to unpack there and debrief. And so maybe I'll do more of that with God, but it's been a detox for me. I've noticed just like the absent-mindedness of wanting to tap my phone. Do I have a notification or wanting to check my email? I started by just deleting social media apps from my phone and putting my phone and computer away. And then I realized that's not enough because I'm still looking for my email, and I'm still kind of like absentmindedly going over to look at my phone. Like, hello, what in the world? And I noticed my thoughts are elsewhere. So, like, even though I'm with my daughter, I'm not really with her. I don't know if you've ever had those feelings of you're just so distracted that you can kind of like, yeah, 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 like, the rote responses that allow someone to like think that you're with them. And so it's just been kind of heartbreaking to me. And really, I'm so thankful for it because I don't want to miss this time with my kids and specifically with my oldest. And so as I've been practicing this, I've been doing it for about a week now where I've been putting things aside to be fully present with her. Um, I'm slowly detoxing it. And I've been able to just really enjoy my time with her. And we've been doing a lot of like I feel like I'm learning so much more about her. Um, yeah, and so the emotions that I'm feeling are, some sadness of maybe the moments that I've missed because I've been so distracted and feel this need to do things and that I really don't need to do. So feeling sadness over that distraction while also feeling so much gratitude for learning how to put the distractions aside so that I can be fully present. We've been doing things like playing outside together. We have been doing puzzles, playing games. We've been doing this highlights magazine. I don't know if anyone is familiar with those. We used to have them when I was a kid, and Holland, my parents gave them to Holland and Marin as Christmas presents, and they have tons of activities and look and find. And we've been writing letters and doing some learning together. Um, yeah, and before I became a coach, I was a teacher for like 5 years and have my master's degree in education for moderate disabilities. And one of the things that I would do as a teacher is modify curriculum for my students. And some of these things in the highlight magazine that we've been doing are a little too advanced for Holland. But my teacher hat comes on and I modify the curriculum for her. And it just feels like because I've been able to put aside distractions, I've been able to use my strengths for my daughter. And that feels really good. So I'm feeling very grateful. Also, within that gratitude, as I shared, is some embarrassment that I've been so distracted. But really looking forward to more times with her, more afternoons. And I'm noticing within me a resentment for my phone. And it feels like a healthy resentment. I'm like, I don't need that. I'll put that away. I don't need that. I can look at it later. When there aren't people to care for or people to spend time with, I can check out a message. And if someone really needs me, they will get in touch with me. But others can wait. My phone can wait. And so it's just been this like egg thing. I found a picture that I'll probably post on social media with like my update of this week, this coffee chat with Hala. And it's a little, um, here we go. I don't know if you can see it. Probably can't read the words, but you can at least see the picture and then I'll read the words to you. So it's a mom. Oh, my phone's highlighting. It's a mouse mom at a table with all her little mice. And the quote on it says, "Silly me, here I was hurrying through all the things I once hoped for." Silly me, here I was hurrying through all the things I once hoped for. And I just sense God's gentleness in reminding me of like, Hala, this is the life you've always wanted, to be a mom, to be with your family. Let go of the need to prove or be or do anything else and just enjoy this time. And that feels just like God, right? To kind of say, like, I'm what matters most, family is what matters most. And so I'm doing my best to focus on that. And that's probably the biggest thing that I'm doing right now, this past week, the biggest thing that I'm learning. Another thing that's coming to mind as something that I'm learning is something new about prayer. Um, Oftentimes when I pray, it is before I go into an event or not even an event, but like before a coaching call, before going somewhere. Lord, help me to be myself in this situation, give me the energy that I need, help me to love others well, and just be myself. That's kind of like a rote prayer that I pray a lot of times before going into something. It could be kind of like a liturgy. I guess some people, I'm learning more about liturgies, and I'm studying the book of Matthew right now in a Bible study, and I was really struck by how Jesus prays. And the chapters that we read this week, I think were like 13 and 14. Maybe I can even get my book. Is it over here? And I was just really, I feel like God really drew my attention to the fact that, okay, so chapter 14. I know that Jesus spends time alone. I know that he goes to be with God, but the timing when he does these couple chapters really speak to me, specifically in Matthew 14:22 through 23. And then some of the questions within this Bible study that made me like kind of pause and notice was, um, in what other circumstances did Jesus go off by himself and for what purpose? The scriptures they reference are Mark 1:32 through 39. Luke 5:15 through 16, and Luke 6:12 through 13. And in each of those, he performed a miracle or he had a teaching, and after he retreats to pray, after the event of his outpouring to other people, the sun's coming up, he goes to pray. And I've never really noticed that. And it was a little bit like jarring to me because I don't do that. Um, I retreat like this. I retreat in the mornings to be with God and God fill me up so that I can pour out. And I guess in some ways, each morning that I wake up, it's that prayer of restoration. But immediately following something of outpouring, whether it's taking care of my kids or a coaching call, or even just like a social event. Okay, come on out, sweetness. I see it. The sun is almost up. We still have a little bit of time though before you guys can come out, okay? Can you keep reading your books in there? Oh, well, that's a good thing to start. You can start reading your books. My oldest is going to the bathroom here. We have a sound machine. I'm doing one of my videos. Our sound machine turns green when they're allowed to come out, but she sometimes has to go to the bathroom. So we still have like 45 minutes before they're allowed to fully be out and about with us. Another routine that we do so that my husband and I can spend time with God and fill ourselves up before we need to pour out. So if you want to know more about that, let me know. But that's a choice that we've made in our parenting. But all this to say, going to God for restoration after an outpouring and allowing him to be what fills me up, just like what Jesus did. And so these are a couple things that have just been really loud in what God is sharing with me. Eyes on me, full presence, time with family, specifically my kids. And we're continuing to do some of the other habits that I shared in my week 1 coffee chat of putting our phones away at 5 p.m. Again, a detox and practicing more full presence. We learned some habits from this book called Habits of the Household that Jack and I are trying to implement as a couple and as mom and dad to our kiddos and working things into our family. What else? Oh, last week I shared in my listening time an image of going to tree lighting, not like lights, but actual burning of the trees in our little town, and just felt like God was like, you need to go and you need to remember me there. So just brief update on that. The one moment that was like, oh, this is surprising was this random older woman came up to my husband and I and just started talking and just kind of boldly sharing about some of her political beliefs and like it was very surprising to Jack and I, but some of what she was sharing, we actually agreed with. And so it was like this really interesting moment. And then what she started sharing was um, that, oh, I'm old, honey. I don't care what people think of me anymore. And I just say it. I just say it. She was a little bit more elegant in her tone and how she shared, but it got me thinking a little bit of like, how interesting. Like, I am not like that right now. Even though you might think like, what, Hala, you're being so vulnerable and whatever. I'm happy to be vulnerable. Being bold and speaking truth or sharing my beliefs is a challenge for me. And then what was interesting is the next day on our Conversations with God challenge with one of the participants was sharing that she feels like God is kind of inviting her to do this thing and she's scared. And it has to do with being bold and letting other people know what she believes. And so I was able to say, well, this is interesting. This thing just came up for me in a conversation at the Christmas tree burning, scurrying to back to her room. And it spoke to her as well. So it was just this really interesting moment. And even now, reflecting back on it, based on the things that I feel like God is teaching me this week, or that kind of challenging me, showing me, revealing to me, is to don't worry about what all these other people down here are thinking. Focus on me. And let me protect you. Like now, those lightning bolts feel like a protection around me of, yes, it's really drawing my attention upward, but other people can't get into, like, no one can touch me while I'm doing that. So there's a protection from God in that electrifying moment as well. So this has been kind of long. I think that's kind of what I have for you today. Just some coaching updates and things. I'm still the Conversations with God challenge is something you can join us with for the remainder of January. I'm also starting Listening Prayer Academy at the beginning of February. That is a 12-week program to support you in hearing from God. So what I demonstrated this morning in learning listening prayer, whether it's something you've been practicing for a while and you just need an accountability group or a way to establish that rhythm as a habit in your life, or if you're someone who's desperate to hear from God and wants to learn how to do that, Listening Prayer Academy is for people at all different stages. We practice together, we demonstrate together, we practice discernment together. I offer coaching and instruction on how to build the muscle of noticing God's communication with you. It's something that's been life-changing for me. As you can see, I practice it regularly. It is a rhythm in my life, and I'm teaching others how to establish it as a rhythm in their life so that they can be transformed by the Holy Spirit, God, Jesus. So Listening Prayer Academy is an option for you. I'm only offering it this spring, so from beginning of February through April. It's just like a 3-month program. I'm calling it like a workout class for your awareness of God. And then I also have 2 retreats for women. The Listening Prayer Academy is for men and women. The retreats for women is just for women. I'm calling them Sacred Rest Retreats. There's one in April and one in November. Right now, I'm running a discount. If you sign up by January 24th, you get a $200 discount on it. There's private rooms, shared rooms. And the whole purpose of these retreats, I'm calling them Sacred Rest Retreats. It's to enter into God's presence, spend time grounding yourself and receiving all that He has for you, breaking away from the busyness of your life to really intentionally be with Him. If you are someone who is like, these all sound awesome, but it's not something that I want to be a part of, but how I love you and love what you're doing. Some prayer requests are for these events that God brings the people to them, that He really wants to transform, and that I can surrender them to Him and trust all that He's doing in these programs that I have on the calendar. And then I can trust Him with them. Those prayers would be so meaningful to me. So thank you for partnering with me in that. And again, if these are something that you feel nudged to join and be a part of, reach out to me. I'll put some sign up links below, and you can join me over the next couple weeks and this year in being transformed by the renewing of your mind. I'm going to just close in prayer, and this is our coffee chat. I'm so glad that you were with me and joining me in my reflections on the week and things that I'm learning, things that I'm feeling challenged by, and where I see God moving and how I see him loving and guiding me this week. Let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, I thank you for um, teaching me this week. I thank you for just revealing some ways that I'm hurting myself and hurting relationships, and just a simple fix that's simple in practice, but wow, I'm seeing the profound impact that it has in just detoxing my relationship with my phone. And really the deeper meaning of that is detoxing my need for affirmation from others, my need for proving myself, my need for providing for my family, and just really surrendering all that to trust in you. I thank you for those who are sitting with me this morning, having their coffee, learning with me, learning about you. And I just pray for continued people to come into my sphere, Lord, who are yearning for you, are yearning for a change in their life, and just for the ways that you have planned for us to partner together to support them in that. God, I thank you for transforming me, again, for loving me and for drawing me closer to you. We thank you for this time, for the reflection, and for the plans you have for us going into this next week. We love you, Lord. It's in your son's name that we pray. Amen. All right. Cheers. The sun is up. It's time to go. Thanks for having coffee with me. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.